Welcome back, Dynasty lovers, to another episode of the Dynasty Interview Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Adrian, my co-host,
Scott Martin.
Well, we have made it. We are on to our last show of the 2023 NFL rookie class. This is wide receiver show 404, and it's good to be done. That's all I can say.
Yep, pretty good class. Definitely not as top tier and what we have been. We've been spoiled by the wide receiver class here for the last few years. But this is a pretty good class. Got some decent depth and going to be some good sleepers, I think, in this class. So overall, I think the whole draft class, when you put all the positions together, is solid. Definitely better than it has been in a couple years past. But little better at running back, little okay at quarterback, better at tight end for sure. Wide receivers maybe a little bit of a down year, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't think it has the same elite talent that you saw from a lot of these classes outside of maybe a couple of the running backs then. But definitely has deeper position groups. Definitely this class beats the quarterback class last year by a substantial margin. And the tight end class is special. And then you have the the crown and the jewel, or the main crown and the main jewel in the crown then, which is Bijan Robinson. So if you have the 101, you're going to be happy.
Yep.
And then everything else is going to be very landing spot dependent, and we'll have to see how things shake up in the NFL draft, and I can't wait for that. It's like Christmas for adult NFL fans.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to see what things shake out on draft day. But for this show here, we have 7 prospects for you today. So Rashee Rice out of SMU, Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati, Justin Shorter out of Florida, Jackson Smith and Jigba out of the Ohio State University, Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee, Parker Washington out of Penn State University, and then finishing off Michael Wilson out of Stanford then. So shall we begin?
Let's do it.
So Rashee Rice, Southern Methodist University, at the combine came in at 6'1", 204 pounds, had 9.5-inch hands then, ran a 4.5 140, a 41-inch vertical, a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, and had a 1.49 10-yard split.
Oh wow, I didn't see that coming. With that 10-yard split, that's pretty cool. So 51st percentile 40, 97th percentile vertical jump, 86th percentile broad jump, and then at his pro day had a 702 3-cone 43rd percentile.
Yeah, he was a 4-year player at SMU then. Had a decent 2020 and 2021, but definitely went nuts in 2022. Had 96 catches, 1,355 yards, a 14.1 yard per catch average, and 10 touchdowns. So, Scotty, start us off. What do you think of Mr. Rice here?
So, Mr. Rice has arguably the best upside in the class. He's super raw in a lot of areas that I think can be coached up and can be improved on, but he might have the most upside in the class as far as he definitely can play outside. Just from the top, his release, like off the ball, he's okay off the ball. I didn't see that 10, I didn't think he'd run that fast of a 10-yard split, so that's good. I think that his speed really sneaks up on DB, so if they're giving him a little bit of a cushion, he really sort of eats that up on them. Just sort of sneaky speed there. And, his feet's okay. He's got a few moves, so that's helpful. But I felt like physical corners could really sort of handle him at times a lot easier than they should. So he's just got to really pack some, good weight on that frame, and he's got plenty of room to do it. He's, from a route running standpoint, this is the part he's really got to clean up because there were times that he just ran lazy routes. And I don't know if he just wasn't as, engaged in because the play wasn't coming to him, but there was just a lot of times where he just wasn't on it. His initially off the ball, he's got that initial first cut, really good suddenness, really good separation with that, but I felt like when he was having to run more complex routes, he really needs some more work on that to get that better. But I thought he above average separation and good suddenness. So he's got some potential as a route runner. It's just very raw right now. His And then, I felt like he could be more physical. I gave him a little bit above average, but I just didn't feel like for this type of receiver, he was as physical as I wanted him to be. Now,
I actually
he
like
is
his physicality.
physical at catching the ball. Like he's
Okay,
physicality catching the ball is good.
Mhm.
But I mean, like as he runs his routes, I feel like he can be pushed off his routes. And blocking, I feel like he was not really, he was just a body out there, to be honest. There's times he tries to get after it, but he's, like I said, he's got to put some weight on that frame. Now, his ball skills are special. He's got super special potential because his catch radius is unreal. Like it's super good. Very good special ball skills. There's times that he doesn't always time his jump well. But other than that, like I gave him a 9 and 10, for in that regard, and he can go literally anywhere and get the ball. Like if it's in the dirt, he can go down and get it. If it's way back on his back shoulder, he can go get it. Way up high, he can go get it. Those elite measurables definitely show up on tape. And the thing that surprised me is he leaves some contested catches out there. But he actually catches the ball fairly well in traffic. I mean, he was 16 out of 33 for contested catches in 2022. I thought he could have caught more, but I thought he's with that elite jumping ability and go up and get it kind of stuff. The ceiling is through the roof there. When he gets the ball in his hand, actually can offer you a little bit after the catch. It's not that he's like super elusive. He's a little bit above average, but that first guy, he makes them miss so often. He's just really, catch the ball, and before the, DB can even make a tackle, he's like doing that little stop juke or whatever, and they just go right by him. But 19 missed tackles forced in 2022, really good, and 16 missed tackles forced in the year before. So you got a guy that's got really good build-up speed, and pretty good build-up speed and okay quickness acceleration, with some of his cuts. So he's a really good prospect. He got a 75 for me. And he's honestly, if he gets a good spot, I can see him really jumping up the board pretty good. He came in at what would be number 8. But he's a guy, like, I look at everybody above him, and I know there's really good players here, but this guy's, he's got one of the highest ceilings potentially. He could be a huge bust, but he's got a ceiling.
Yeah, he's one of the few guys in this class that has some semblance of size and actually some burst then too. I agree with pretty much everything you said. The two weakest points are probably his release and off the line, and then also the route running separation. Then I think a few times I saw the corners actually try to jam him. He could be jammed at times then, so he has to sort of clean up that then. And then as far as the route running, it's not as crisp as you would like, the best routes. And I think that leads to less separation than you would like to see then. I feel like he's always tangled with the corners. That's why you see a lot of these contested catches. But man, as you said, he's one of the best in the class as far as the contested catch going up and getting the ball then. He is very physical fighting for the ball. And I think you're talking about all those sort of missed broken tackles. I don't think he's very elusive, but I think he runs very hard after the catch then. And he's able to bust those tackles then. So I think when he gets the ball in his hands, he can be special in that regard. And as you said, his hands are special as far as that goes. But like I said, he's going to need a good wide receiver coach to take it to the next level then. So as you said, he's a raw prospect then.
Definite red zone threat year 1, but he's a year 2 to 3 breakout kind of guy. Yeah. He's not an early production guy.
And he's, like I said, he's a guy that can clean things up and get more refined, and then could take it to that next level then. So he's definitely not a finished product at all here then, but definitely has the athletic skills and the athletic measurables to be something in the league then. So probably a guy you're not drafting necessarily in the first round, but maybe a guy you can sort of start thinking about maybe at the end of the second.
Yeah, I suspect he's probably an early second, mid second, pretty solid pick, unless he just gets killed in the draft. Just too special and rare in this wide receiver room. Yeah,
so definitely a guy I'm interested in. I have in my third tier of guys. Like I said, I have 8 guys in the second tier, and I have another 6 guys in that third tier then. So it's going to depend on where he goes, landing spot, draft capital. But if he gets fourth round draft capital. Definitely a guy I'm keeping an eye on and looking into then. But yeah, so I like what we saw. So I think we both like Aristotle, just more of a raw prospect then, but a good player then.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention his hands. In 2022, he had 9 drops on 156 targets, and there were times he had some concentration drops. But the year before, he was very solid. Only 1 drop on 79 targets. So I think he just got to focus in, make sure to get rid of those concentration drops. But I thought his hands are huge and they're very good. So I didn't knock him too bad.
Yeah, good player.
Yep.
And another guy that I think is a good player is Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati then. So a guy that got over that 5'9" threshold then. So 5'10", 177 pounds, 9-inch hands, ran a 4.44 40. Probably could have run faster than that. I was surprised by that 40. Had a 39.5-inch vertical, 11-foot 1-inch broad jump, and a 1.51 10-yard split then.
So 74th percentile 40, 92nd percentile vertical jump, 96th percentile broad jump, and he did run a 40 at the pro day, 4.39, 89th percentile, 3 cone 6.99, 50th percentile.
And played 2021 with Ritter and Alec Pierce, had an okay year of 520 yards. And then 2022 had 54 catches, almost 900 yards, 16.6 yards per catch, and 9 touchdowns. So like I said, I actually like Tyler Scott. I thought he was just going to be more of just a burner and not really anything special beyond that then. But I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of things with him then. So
yeah,
I think he has a very, very quick release then. He can beat the jam with his feet then. He's actually a pretty good route runner then. So he plays in the slot. Also, I saw him playing some outside then. So that's sort of a rarity for this class then. And always creates good separation. I think the corners are just terrified of him just blowing by them. So a lot of times they're backpedaling and he can get open underneath fairly easily then. And then when he does go long or deep, then he just blows by guys and just gets open very, very well then. And then other things I like, I think he's an excellent down the field ball tracker just based with his speed. He has great body control then. Yards after catch then. So he is, I think you got to say, like, he's more smooth and effortless then, and just sort of gets by people with speed then. But he's very good at seeing the open field. Apparently, I think he was a high school running back then too. So usually those guys are better sort of after the catch then as well. I'm surprised he's a high school running back at that size, but probably the biggest guy in this high school then. But he was special in that regard then. And then obviously speed, quickness, you get top notch there then. Gets up to top speed very, very quickly. So special in that regard. Things that he has to sort of work on. Definitely not a physical player by any means then. He's a willing blocker, but he's not special in that regard. As far as contested catches, he can go up and get it, but he's definitely limited in that regard. He's not going to make these spectacular catches jumping over guys then or whatnot. And then his hands, the drop rate was a little bit higher than I would have liked, so it was 11.3% drop rate. He is a hands catcher, but the catch radius is not the greatest either then. So those are things that sort of limit his potential, but definitely a guy I came away very pleasantly surprised on, and definitely a guy that's fairly high on my draft boards then. So he's also in that third tier with Rice then, but I like what I see.
Yeah, what's your score?
75 then. So I gave a 75 for Scott here, and I gave a 73 for Rice. Forgot to mention that before.
Yeah, so 74. I really like this guy. I had no knowledge of him before I started scouting him. So I was really, really pleasantly surprised. I think he's going to be a really, really good slot receiver. And he, like you said, you mentioned the release. He's legit top speed off the ball. Like, he has really quick feet. And, obviously corners, when they put their hands on him, can move him around some at that size. But he's really, really, really fast off the ball. So when you've got him sort of in those free releases, he just eats you up. The thing that you mentioned as a route runner, he has great potential. Because the routes that he does run, these curl routes, the fade, they're super, super good. And when he snaps off these routes, I felt like he's got great suddenness. and he's really smooth throughout the gears and can just snap it off when he wants to. I want to see him work more underneath in sort of the intermediate area, and because that's where he's going to really be playing a lot. But he shows upside to be moved outside a little bit, and that's why he played literally 95 and 96% the last 2 years split out wide. And he's not an out wide receiver, but he shows that he can absolutely get it done out there. And he's, and that's because he's such an excellent athlete. And it's not just speed. He's got above average ball skills for his size. He's got really, really good ability to catch the ball outside the frame. He really locates the ball super well and can adjust to these off-target throws. The catch radius isn't that great, but he can go up and get it for his size pretty good. His after the catch is really, really solid, really good elusiveness, and the thing, like you mentioned, the vision after the catch is very good. 12 missed tackles forced in 2022, and he just needs a little bit of a crease, and he's gone because he's got legit home run speed. He's exciting, man. I really hope. I haven't really been looking at mock drafts or anything, but I really think that he's somebody that's going to sneak up and get drafted a lot higher than expected, and he's going to be a steal in the second round of your rookie drafts. I really like him.
Yeah, in the NFL draft, I'm pretty certain he's going to be a day 2 pick. So,
yeah, I like him, especially in a good spot.
Yeah, and if he has early playing time opportunity, then like I said, if he gets that day 2 draft capital, he's gonna be a second round pick.
Yep,
no problem in your rookie drafts. And but like I said, I like the potential there. He offers more versatility than a lot of these just strictly slot guys. So I think he can go outside. He's going to be mostly operating in the slot then, but definitely has more outside potential than these 5'8", 5'9" guys that are going to be there in the slot only then. And then, like I said, I feel like a broken record, and we're just saying that the landing spot's going to dictate a lot of things here going forward then with these very close wide receivers.
The key to film study is finding out what these prospects are good at, where their role is, and then that helps you determine if the landing spot is good. It's not always only just draft capital and who doesn't have a receiver. It's does he fit the offense and how well can he sort of operate in that. So film is crucial on figuring out which one of these prospects is all hype and which ones aren't and which ones are under the radar, because that's where you win in Dynasty. You got to hit on your early rookie round picks or your early rookie picks, but you got to hit, your second and third picks. That's where you make your money right there. So,
and you have to. The other benefit of scouting then is you can eliminate the ones that you feel are just going to suck then, or going to have maybe not suck, but they're not going to have great fantasy football potential, because we're not looking to help our NFL teams here, but we're looking to help our fantasy teams then. So if there's we always say Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble's a great football player, but he's not going to win you dynasty fantasy football championships by any means. Then
nope, and he was second round rookie pick in some of the leagues I was in. So crazy.
Yeah. So, but and there's other guys that just have all this hype then, but definitely the film doesn't sort of add up. Then you want to sort of push those guys down your board or get them off your draft board and let other people make the mistake then. But Tyler Scott, not a mistake.
Nope.
He's a guy definitely should keep an eye on them.
Solid.
And guy should be drafted here in your rookie drafts. Next up, Justin Shorter out of Florida. Originally Penn State University then. Actually was the top wide receiver recruit out of high school the year he came out then. He's going to be 30 years old. I mean, not 30 years old, man. 23 years old here. He is 6'4", 229 pounds, so big dude then. Had 10-inch hands then. 4.55 40, 35.5-inch vertical, 10-foot 6-inch broad jump, and a 1.59 10-yard split.
So the 40 was 35th percentile, vertical jump 56th percentile, broad jump 82nd percentile, and then at his pro day had a 3-cone of 7.35 5th percentile.
Yeah, and has had his first 2 years at Penn State then. Didn't really get on the field much. I think he had some drop issues, and then ultimately went to the transfer portal then. Had 3 years at Florida and the last 2 years, okay production. So he had 550 yards last year. I mean, in 2021, and then in 2022 had 29 catches, 577 yards, 19.9 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns. So I'll let you start off with Justin Shorter then, and I'll give my piece.
Well, I was hoping to see an underutilized potential superstar because that's what comes out of Florida at the wide receiver position and the running back position. But I wasn't as impressed as I wanted to be. So he's got okay speed off the ball. I mean, it's average, very average, and that's a relatively slow, 10-yard split there. His feet are okay, and he has a few moves. But for a guy this big, DB shouldn't be able to hang on you so easy. He's a physical route runner, but he can't get rid of the DBs because he just doesn't create as much separation as he should. And it all comes back to he just doesn't have a lot of good quickness. He doesn't, create a lot of separation out of his cuts. And it evidenced by that 3-cone because that's really poor. You can definitely see that on tape. And you got a guy that has to play outside. You've got to be able to separate some. The other thing that's concerning is if you're not a good separator, you better be able to go up and get the ball. And you better have really good hands. So he has good hands, like 0 drops on 51 targets. Although limited volume, but over the last 2 years, he only had 1 drop on 114 targets. So that's really good. But his contested catches weren't as good as I wanted to be. He only was 6 out of 12. And although he could high point the ball pretty good, I just felt like his ball skills were really good, but they weren't elite. And he's a pretty big dude. I expected him to just destroy people. And I thought he was good, but not great. His physicality is above average, so he's got to be that at his size. And the problem is, so you have basically he's a possession receiver that catches most things, but doesn't separate underneath. And he's an okay but not great sort of in the red zone where you can be a jump ball guy. So I'm not sure he's not gonna have. He doesn't have a good role because he's just nothing really special that stands out because he offers nothing after the catch. He might break a few tackles just because of his size, but literally 0 missed tackles forced in 2022, 3 missed tackles forced in 2021, and you do not see elusiveness. You do not see any of that stuff. So he's one of those guys that he looks okay on sort of paper with the measurables and stuff, but he just did not test well at the combine, and the tape confirms it. So I left pretty unimpressed. 64. So he's tier from the bottom.
Yeah, he got a better score. I gave him actually a 71, but I wasn't overly impressed actually. So I was surprised when the 71 came out then. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but watching him, all I saw was just legs. I think that guy is 5 feet of legs and a foot and 4 inches of everything else. Then it was just all legs. Did you see that?
I do appreciate that he wears the long long-legged Under Armour, whatever, every game because I can easily pick him out when I'm cutting up film. So that's nice.
All you had to do was look at guys that their legs were just out of proportion. He has giraffe legs. So I was at Disney before at the Animal Kingdom Lodge then, and I saw a giraffe running, and that's what I saw with Justin Shorter out there. Doesn't have acceleration or quickness. Has long speed, so he's a good long strider. So sort of like that giraffe then. Not going to cut, not going to break any tackles then, as far as or yards after catch. He's going to break some tackles just based on his size alone then. But the release, he's decent on the jam, but he is slower to get up to speed then. His route running, as I said, doesn't create any separation. And he has a very limited route tree. I think this past year, I didn't watch 2021, but in 2022, he either went deep or did a short cross. That was it. I don't know if it was more for Anthony Richardson as far as keeping things simple, or if it was based on his capabilities then. But very limited route tree this past year. as you said, hands were great, and so 0 drops then. But I don't think he makes anything special catch. He makes the routine catches, but he's not going to go making catches sort of are trying to save the quarterback then. So he had 51 targets to 29 catches then, so it's not like a high percentage then. And then I think you said the contested catch. I didn't see much of that at all. I was unsure. I didn't really know how to grade it that well. I saw maybe
2021, he was 5 out of 15. He cannot be 5 out of 15 at this size.
Yeah, it's just not special in that regard. Things that he definitely, like I said, the hands, he excels at. Body control, I think he has a very good body control. And I think his physicality, he's probably one of the better blockers. So he was a very willing run blocker and very effective run blocker in that regard then. So I was very impressed by that. So he gets very good numbers in the physicality score. I think that's what I think bumps him up compared to some of these other guys then. But like I said, I wasn't impressed. I didn't see the top recruit coming out of high school, 5-star recruit, top of the class wide receiver. We'll see where he goes then, but I'm not overly seeking him out then. I have him.
What is he, a big slot that can't separate? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think he's a slot receiver. He's not even a big slot because he's.
Well, I mean, he has to play outside, but he can't get open out there either. So yes. I don't know. I don't want to put him off my board because he's got the size and such, but I don't know. We'll see what happens in the draft. Right now, he's a late round flyer for me.
Yeah, I'm not actively trying to seek him out then, but we will see. We will see. So next on the list here, finally, Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. So 6'1", 196, good size, 9-inch hands, good size hands. So did not run the 40 at the combine. Scotty, I think, has a pro day for number for you there. But the combine had a 35-inch vertical, a 10-foot, 5-inch broad jump, and ran a 6.57 3-cone. Mm-hmm. So blazing in that regard.
Yep, so 3-cone, 97th percentile.
It's only 97th? It's not the 99th?
Nope, 97th.
Oh. Who's running faster than that?
I don't remember, but somebody. And then 50th percentile vertical, 78th percentile broad jump. Pro day officially was a 4.52 40, 46 percentile. So the unofficial coming out, that was posted for quite some time was much better. I think 4.48, which was better than what it actually ended up being officially. But yeah, 46 percentile.
It's reasonable. It's not not killing. And then as far as production, this past year only had 5 receptions, 43 yards due to hamstring issues then, so didn't play most of the season. But in 2021, with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, he had 95 receptions, 1,606 yards, 16.9 yards per catch, and 9 touchdowns. So he's the top of the class. It's not even close in my opinion. I think he's definitely the clear-cut wide receiver 1 in this class then. He offers pretty much everything then. So everything except for maybe elite speed then. So he has size. He's an excellent route runner, creates separation. He is quick off the line then, beats the jam. He's very good, or I would even say excellent at finding the window for the QB, especially in zone coverage then. And when he's running man routes then, he tries to get in that window for the quarterback. You actually saw him actively doing that for C.J. Stroud, and it was special in that regard. So I took a serious note of that then. Hands are I would say very good to great then. Had 6 drops, but this is 2021 then, so 7% drop rate. Very solid hands then. He's contested catch is very good then too. Able to snag it in traffic, able to go up and get it then. Excellent ball tracking. Some of the catches he made in the end zone and tracking the ball and just then maybe able to stick a foot down and toe tap were just unbelievable then. His body control probably tops in the class then. Physicality, very willing blocker. I think he's actually a very good blocker in that regard, so willing to get after it then. As far as his quickness and acceleration, that's where he excels at then too. So very quick out of the blocks then. Can win on the edge then when he has to. And he has I want to say he has no wasted motion. So every motion he does was with a purpose, and so he makes up for that having that sort of that elite speed then. But I think, like I said, I think the speed is good enough then. And then the other thing is he's not like super elusive, but he has some wiggle. And the other thing is he turns upfield very quickly. He has a stiff arm, and like I said, he's just a smooth player then. So he has a smooth running pattern, and that sort of, I think, almost lulls guys to sleep then, and he's able to get by him then. And you saw that a lot. I don't know if did you watch the Utah bowl game?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was just so smooth and just pulled away from guys, even though he didn't have this elite speed. And I think that was just more his acceleration and getting upfield quickly, and then just sort of confusing these guys then. So he had 15 catches for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
That's like Justin Shorter's whole season.
Yep, and that was his moment to shine with everybody sort of opting out. So he showed up.
And this is everyone's probably heard this by now, but Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson both say that JSN is the best receiver of that group of all three of them.
Sure, he's the best slot receiver of the group, but he's not the best. I would take those two above him easily, especially Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson definitely. So when I was watching film in 2021, Garrett Wilson stood out beyond both JSN and Chris Olave then. As far as coming down to Chris Olave versus JSN, it's going to be landing spot. So
yeah,
I can't say who.
Goodness sakes, put this kid in Kansas City, and I mean, geez.
Oh yeah. But like I said, I'm very close as far as I'd probably give a better grade to JSN as far as just overall talent. I think he's a better talent than Chris Olave then. But like I said, I'm not to wait for landing spot. But I said I probably Garrett Wilson, JSN, and then Chris Olave more of a distant third, just based on film and raw talent that I saw then. But like I said, I really like Jackson Smith. I heard so many people put him as number one, and I'm like, I'll wait till I see the tape then. And it was clear. I don't think you're going to say anything different. I don't think you can argue that he's not.
I mean, there's some points to bring up, but like, don't get me wrong. He's above average physicality. Like, he tries to block, but he only got a 6 for me. He's not pushing people around. And his top end speed, like, yeah, it looks enough. It looks adequate, but
yeah, I
can't give him over a 6. I mean,
yeah, I give him a 7. I think it's enough, and I saw him actually pull away at times. Then
back and forth.
I think he's actually better with pads on.
Yeah,
than he is just on a 40 then.
Yep.
So I gave him over on 81. I'm not sure which score you ultimately came out with him for then. Or
yeah, so 82.
82 then. Okay,
yep.
Good.
So, but yeah, he's the top of the class. I don't think that I think he's probably the safest pick to be sort of landing spot proof. But
easily, he's going to be the first receiver off the board.
He is going to be an elite slot receiver because his elite nasty feet off the ball, super fast. He's not physical, but that's why he's going to have to play inside mostly and get sort of those free releases. But he can play outside some, and the route running is an absolute 10. He puts DBs on skates. He can run any route out there on the field. He runs with not only great suddenness and that quick twitch to separate, but his speed, tempo, his leverage he runs with is so good. He operates underneath and in congestion so super well. 9 out of 10 contested catches, and he's a winner, man. Excellent hands. I know he had 6 drops on 112 targets, but his hands are very, very good because he's catching some tough balls. And he shows you that he has above average, ball skills. It's not like he's going to go up and tower over people and catch stuff, but his ability to track the ball and catch back shoulder throws and throws that are just you just do not expect people to catch. He can offer some special stuff there. When he gets the ball in his hands, I thought his elusiveness was top tier. I mean, I know it's not Demario Douglas. I keep throwing that out there, but he's pretty close. He can just legit quick twitch and cut on a dime. 19 missed tackles forced.
I was thinking
very, very good.
This is off JSN, but we got to have a bet. Who gets drafted first in the NFL draft? Tank Dell or Demario Douglas?
Oh, Tank Dell. Demario Douglas is probably a later round pick.
But you like Demario Douglas?
Yeah, well, because with our scoring and stuff, he's going to do well because he's so elusive and fast. But no, Tank Dell is a better overall prospect. He offers more.
Okay.
But
let's get back to JSN.
Anyway, JSN 82, love him. I think he's easily going to stay at number 1. I don't foresee a scenario where he gets killed, because let's say he even went to Baltimore. I think that he would be a really really good slot receiver there too. It would obviously stink, but I love him. So he's gonna be probably number 2 pick in a lot of drafts. 2 to 3 was probably the lowest you'll see him. So see how it goes.
He's at least on Sleeper. He's number 2 off the board right now. Then but like I said, it's gonna be draft location. He's gonna be a first round pick. He'd probably be in the I'm guessing in the early teens in the NFL draft then. And but yeah, he's easily the top wide receiver talent. And some people are actually predicting only 1 wide receiver to go in the first round this year.
I don't believe any of that stuff.
I could believe it.
I think you're going to see 3 to 4. No problem.
I don't know.
Everybody will. You got to have receivers.
There'll probably be someone that reaches for 1, but like I said, I honestly.
Teams are going to reach
I'd have Christian Watson as the top guy in this class then.
Yeah, well, teams are going to be more likely to reach for the wide receiver than the running back late in the first or throughout the second. So you're going to see receivers come off early. The value of running
backs is down significantly as far as NFL.
Even though the running back class is good.
Still king.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so he's probably one of the safest players in this draft class. I think I probably is the second safest player other than Bijan. I don't think you can argue that. But let's move on to the next guy. So another Tennessee Volunteer of Scotty's. So Cedric Tillman, going to be 23 at the start of the season then. So he came in at 6'3", 213 pounds, 10-inch hands, 5.54 40, 37-inch vertical, 10-foot, 8-inch broad jump, and a 1.53 10-yard split.
Yeah, so the 4.54 40 is 39th percentile, 76th percentile vertical jump, 86th percentile broad jump. Pro day, his 40 didn't get any better. It was 4.58, 25th percentile. Vertical jump was a little bit less, 36.5, so 70th percentile. And then 3-cone was 7.32, 6th percentile.
And then as far as was at Tennessee for 5 years, then best year in 2021, 64 catches, 1,081 yards, 16.9 yards per catch, and 12 touchdowns. And then in 2022, he had the left ankle injury then, and had 37 catches, 417 yards, 11.3 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns, and that was limited to 6 games then. So since he's a Tennessee Volunteer, Scotty, I'll let you take the lead on him.
So watch the film. 2021, he was healthy. And for the first couple games, healthy at Tennessee. The ankle sprain that he had was a high ankle sprain. He had to have a procedure done. And to be honest, he should not have played again last year. He was not healthy enough to play. But he toughed it out and tried to help Tennessee win some games. And he still showed he has ability, even though he's not 100%. But he should not have played last year. That was a pretty significant, ankle injury. And he should be good to go, once the season starts and stuff. But that's why you're seeing a lot of these measurables and stuff just not be super good with the 3-cone and even the 40, because 2021 will tell you all you need to know. So the things to love about him, I gave him a 77, so I really like him. To be honest, I feel like it's tough because Hyatt has stuff that is just top tier with the speed and sort of his ability to just be a big home run, big play guy. But Tillman is the receiver that is just an elite possession receiver. He doesn't drop hardly anything. And so just taking him from the top, his release off the ball is actually really pretty doggone good. His feet are pretty quick. And you cannot press this guy. Like, he will just throw you around like a rag doll. It's not that he doesn't really have like speed to threaten deep, but he is a bully route runner, and he can catch it with people hanging all over him. And he is the best in the class at, as far as like contested catches, catching the ball in traffic. Like, he is elite. He had 13 out of 18 opportunities. That's 72% catches in 2021. And he's just so super physical at the catch point. As a route runner, he actually has above average suddenness for his size, and he runs with good speed variation and really good leverage. And he really comes back to get the football, helps the quarterback out. So he's a better route runner than I remembered. And the 2021 tape was obviously better, and I expect that he'll return, a little bit more to form. Only 2 drops on 59 targets in 2022, and then 3 drops on 86 targets in 2021. And, the Pitt game, he didn't have a good game, so I think both of those drops, came in that game. But otherwise, he's lights out, man. He's catches everything, vice grips, and his down the field ball tracking, he's got a very large catch radius. He's got plus ability to go up and get it, can catch the back shoulder throws. And again, super duper duper physical, absolute monster of a blocker out in space. He's really, really, really tough to bring down after the catch. It's not that he's going to be very elusive after the catch, but he's going to shed plenty of tackles. And his speed, I think he's faster than 4.54. I think he's probably about 4.5 flat. And I mean, that makes a big difference when you're talking these percentiles. And his speed is enough. His speed's enough. I really like Cedric Tillman. He's the forgotten guy right now, and I think he is a super solid early second round rookie pick, as long as he goes to a spot that uses his role, because he's a good enough route runner, but he's got to be able to run more routes. He's got to be able to offer sort of more, to be more of a well-rounded route runner. This guy's got big time upside. I love Cedric Tillman.
Yeah, I remember after the Alabama game, and Jalen Hyatt just scored the 5 touchdowns in one game versus Alabama. And I asked you, like, so how about this Hyatt guy? And you told me he wasn't even the best receiver on the team.
Like, you're the best receiver on the team.
I'm like, you're full of crap. How is a guy scored 5 touchdowns against Alabama and not the best receiver on his team then? And then I watched Tillman. Tillman was one of the very first guys I watched in this class here, because we had the film up on YouTube right away with him, and I liked him a lot. Like I texted you right away. I'm like, I think you're right. Like, I really like this Tillman guy. I haven't watched Hyatt yet, but and then Tillman got a 77, same as you. So not a bias there. And then Hyatt got a 74. So I like Tillman.
Yeah, I still have Hyatt above him, in my rankings, because I think he's got special stuff that is going to be drafted better and can be more of have higher fantasy ceiling. But Cedric Tillman is just solid. He has the potential to be a solid wide receiver 2 and 3 or 3 on your team. So love him.
If everything's perfect, I almost see him like almost like a Keenan Allen type player then.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
like
he's going to be
I like that analogy.
Not going to have Keenan Allen wide receiver 1 years consistently then, but I see that as his sort of peak potential. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be taking the top off defenses like Hyatt then.
Yep.
But he's going to be that possession receiver. He's going to run crisp routes then. He's going to go up and get the ball. He's going to do all the dirty work. He did all the dirty work at Tennessee and let Hyatt run free and wild.
You know what offense he would look super sexy in? San Francisco.
Well, they have too many weird wide receivers and they run the ball too much anyway.
But he would be great as a blocker, and he could sort of serve that role.
Well, they have too much talent already then, but I don't want to stick him there and then have him buried.
Just not Baltimore.
But like his physicality special. He's a willing blocker then. He breaks tackles. I think he has savvy footwork after the catch then. Hands are very good then. Contested catch is very good. Ball tracking is very good. Body control is very good. Like I said, route running, release. Like I said, the only thing he really loses some points on, just minimally, is that top end speed. But it's good enough. Like Keenan Allen ran like a 4.7 40, I believe.
Yeah,
back in this,
there's no way he's a 4.7 guy. But...
Yeah, I don't know if he didn't train or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I said, Cedric Tillman, his top speed is good enough, as you said, and his quickness is good enough then. And honestly, hot take here. I bet Cedric Tillman gets drafted before Jalin Hyatt in the NFL draft.
I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. But they're going to be close. I think they're going to be within 10 picks of each other.
If he came out in 2021.
Oh, if he came out in 2021, he was probably a first-round pick.
Well, I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick last year. But if he came out, if he time traveled and he had his 2021 season and he was still 21.9 years old instead of going to be 23, I think he would easily be ahead of Jalin Hyatt as far as a pick. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of talk about him being popular in the NFL circles as far as just an overall talent then. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cedric Tillman just picked a few slots ahead of Jalin Hyatt in the second round. I see them both being
that would be interesting
second round picks. But like I said, I liked him better as a talent. I think Jalin Hyatt is more of a sort of a specialty role, while Cedric Tillman is going to be good at everything then.
Well, I just want to see Jalin Hyatt in Buffalo, and then he can be like the number 3 pick in the first round. That's all I'm looking for.
But but as far as Tillman's skills and size, he has the actual chance to be a true number 1 in an NFL offense then, as opposed to being a specialty guy then. So I really liked Cedric Tillman. I wish he wasn't 23 years old. That's his one downfall. Like I said, I would have hoped he would have came out in 2021. I think you said he came back to win a championship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopeful. Anyway.
Didn't work out too well, but like I said, a very good player, and I was very impressed with what I saw then. Very impressed then. So next up on the board, so we go from a Tennessee Volunteer to my Penn State Nittany Lions then. So Parker Washington, he was at Penn State for 3 years. At the Combine, he only really did the measurables. So 5'10".
He missed the last 3 games. I don't really know why, but
yeah, I know he sat out the bowl game.
Yeah,
but I think the 2 games before that were for injury. I think he knew he was declaring, so that's why he sat out the bowl game. I don't know if it was strictly due to injury. I can't say for certain, but I thought he just sat it out just to stay healthy then. But he came in at the Combine.
Yeah, what was his size?
He was 5'10", so 204 pounds. So one of these bigger, thicker slot guys then, and have 10 and a fifth inch hands then. So pretty big hands for a 5'10" guy then. Like I said, did not participate in any of the drills then, and he did not participate in the Penn State Pro Day either. That I could find.
I can't. I have to. Some of these receivers, I don't have all their injury information yet, so I know that he missed the last 3 games, and at least what I was reading, it didn't look like he was going to even be a candidate to play in the bowl game if he didn't declare. So I'm not sure what the injury is. I have to sort of figure that out, but he didn't participate in the Pro Day.
And as far as this production then, so the best season was in 2021, 64 catches, 820 yards, 12.8 yards per pop, and 4 touchdowns. And then in 2022, 46 catches, 611 yards, 13.3 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns then. So you start with the Volunteer, I'll start with the Nittany Lion then. So I didn't come in with any bias. I think Parker Washington was probably underutilized at Penn State with
poor quarterback
Mr. Clifford. And like I said, and a lot of it I remember more from like the 2021 season. Like I said, this season was a little bit more limited then, still had 46 catches. But I came away very, very surprisingly impressed, and he got a very good score.
Yeah,
so,
he's a top 10 guy for me. 74.
So I gave him an 80. So he's actually has the second highest score in the class. I don't think he's the second.
I don't know about
an
80.
Like everything I did. Our categories are release off the line, route running separation, hands, contested catch, ball tracking, body control, physicality, yards after catch moves, top end speed, acceleration quickness. he got eights across the board. So he was good to very good in all these categories then. He wasn't like special in anything. He didn't get any 9s or any 10s anywhere. But just going through the list, he's strictly a slot guy. And has a good release off the line then. His route running, he has very good quickness. He gets open very quickly then. Good separation then. His hands, 3 drops this past year, 6.1% drop rate. He just plucks the ball out of the air. So, and he has a pretty good catch radius for his size, I thought then. He's pretty good on contested catches as well. I didn't have the PFF score on that then, or the numbers then, but the ones I saw where guys are on top of him or he has to sort of lay out for things with a guy on him or go over a guy was pretty good in that regard. Very good concentration, very good body control. Physicality, he's a thick guy. So he is one of those thick slot guys. They're not like these other guys that are the 5'9", 170. He's the 5'10", 204 then. I thought he was actually probably bigger than that then too. So very physical wide receiver and plays very strong. And after the catch, he looks more like a running back as opposed to a wide receiver or a slot wide receiver then. And he's very good at breaking tackles. So this guy would look good in a San Francisco offense.
Sure.
Almost. Yep. I'm not saying he's Deebo Samuel by any means then, but I think he could.
He gives you Deebo vibes.
Play that role.
Yep.
And I almost think of him more as. Do you remember Golden Tate?
Yeah, but Golden Tate was special athletic. Deebo's actually a pretty good comp, I think.
Well, I think that's what he is. Like he's a bigger slot guy, and he has. I'm not saying he's ever gonna get to Golden Tate's level then, but that's sort of the comp I have for him. And like I said, I have him grade out as the second best receiver in this class, but I don't think he's the second best receiver just based on everything I'm looking for in the wide receiver. But he gets good scores across the board, very very solid. So I have him down as big solid guy, so that's why.
Well, I agree with you on a lot of the things, but then he's definitely not 8s in a lot of categories. So I'll tell you what I saw there. But hands, like you said, 3 drops, definite absolute plus hands catcher, and it showed at the combine too. Looked really good. So I gave him an 8 for hands. Contested catch is excellent for a slot guy. So I gave him a 9 there. He was 5 out of 7 in 2022, 6 out of 10 in 2021, and he can catch the ball in traffic really good and take hits and just no problem. Very strong, big hands. His ball skills and ball tracking is unreal good, especially for a slot guy. He times his jump literally perfect. So I just love the upside he offers there. Just an added bonus, because like you said, the catch radius is so much. Like he has such a good catch radius because he can sort of extend and contort his body to go get these balls that are way off, and just make some elite catches with the ball in the air. I thought he was one of the best leapers in the class. I don't know what his vertical would end up being, but I thought he could really go up and get it. A physical route runner, I agree there. Yards after the catch, I gave it 8 there. 15 missed tackles forced in 2022, 16 missed tackles forced in 2021. Absolute running back vision in space, not easy to bring down, and is a little bit elusive. So all those were the things I gave good scores. Now, back to reality a little bit on some of this. The release off the line, he's got average speed, okay feet, not a lot of moves. So he gets a little bit of above average score there, so I gave it 6. And as a route runner, he's got okay suddenness and he can create okay separation, but he's still catching a lot of balls sort of in traffic because he's not the most crisp route runner. It's just undeveloped. So he probably offers some upside there. So I gave him a 6, a little above average. And, the top end film speed, what 40 you think he's going to run? Because I had 4.5 flat, which would give him like a 6. So I didn't think he was super fast. Just above average quickness in and out of cuts, and but nothing super special. So as far as his speed and that sort of thing, it's enough. It's definitely enough. But I didn't think he was 8s there. But 74 is what I gave him. I like him a lot.
Watching him and Dotson at Penn State in 2021.
See.
Well, no, I'm just saying as far as speed, I thought he was faster. At least looking at him compared to Dotson, I thought he was faster than Dotson on the field. and Dotson ran a 4.43.
Well, I don't. That's interesting that you say that. I should probably go back and take a look because Dotson, I feel like Dotson is a much better athlete than Parker Washington. But
Dotson's a better receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question that Dotson's a better receiver.
Athlete,
but I think,
speed, quickness.
Yeah, and Parker Washington actually did punt returns for Penn State then too, and he was a very good punt return. He displayed that quickness, that acceleration, then getting up the speed, using those almost like that running back type skills. Then, so I said before I did the scouting process, I just assumed Parker Washington was a guy that lined up more outside, but I didn't know he just played exclusively in the slot. Then,
only 28%.
I thought he was more of almost like a deep threat and a guy that could sort of take it to the house. Then I thought he was more of a speed guy as opposed to a slot guy. But like I said, I learned a lot by just watching his tape here. And like I said, I think he's just solid across the board. And a guy I wasn't expected to necessarily like too much. I thought he would sort of be in the middle of the pack. Then he's probably in that group of that second tier, and we'll have to see where he goes then. But
I think your 80's like a little fluffed up there, maybe, but little bit of bias, maybe just a little bit. But
no, I honestly I didn't have any bias. I didn't expect. I was wondering. Well, when this all started, I'm like, we're going to start scout Parker Washington.
Yep. Well, if you're a sophomore and you declare early, you got to be at least halfway decent, But I'm very pleasantly surprised. He's a solid, I think, second round rookie pick. And hopefully he just doesn't get killed in the draft and gets a good spot because I think he's another guy that's probably going to be drafted up higher just because he can offer that sort of special teams ability too. So yeah. I like Parker Washington. I think the upside is really high.
Yeah, and to further sort of de-emphasize the bias then is I thought he should have came back last year just before I watched this film then.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I thought he was limited by the quarterback play, and I thought with the five-star quarterback that they had that will be starting next year, with Alar after he's going to be a sophomore, I thought he would have a lot better numbers and have a lot better draft capital. But the NFL Advisory Committee must have advised him what he's going to be.
Weaker class.
So they must have advised him he's going to be I would guess at least a day 2 pick then.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's going to be that, but that's what usually if you're going to be a day 2 pick, you may be coming out sooner then. So, but like I said, I liked what I saw then, and I was pleasantly surprised then. But we'll have to see what the NFL community says, and then I think he could be a steal on your draft boards. Like I said, he offers something a lot of these other slot guys don't offer is being that bigger, thicker-bodied slot guy, and I think that could be to his advantage in fantasy, and then as far as in the NFL going forward then too. So just keep an eye on him, see where he goes. Help it differentiate from these other slot guys then too. But should we move on to our last guy?
Yep.
So Michael Wilson out of Stanford, another 23-year-old. So 6'2", 213 pounds, 9 3/4 inch hands. Then we're in a 4.58 40, 37.5 inch vertical, a 10-foot 5-inch broad jump, and had a 1.5 10-yard split.
So 25th percentile 40, 79th percentile vertical jump, 78th percentile broad jump. At his pro day, his 40 was 4.61, so a little slower, 17th percentile. 3-cone was actually really good, 6.81, 79th percentile.
Yeah, I think that's evidence in his 10-yard split then. So 1.5 10-yard split is pretty excellent, especially for a guy that size then.
Yep.
So he's 5 years at Stanford then. So his best year was actually all the way back in 2019. So had 56 catches, 672 yards, 12 yards per pop then, and 5 touchdowns. And in the past 3 seasons, only played 14 games.
Yep.
And this past year, he had 26 catches, 418 yards, 16.1 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns in 6 games then.
Yep. Foot injuries in 2020, 2021, missed the second half of 2022 with injury, and just can't stay on the field, can't stay healthy. Not the right kind of injuries to want for a receiver either. So, but yeah, I guess I'm up on him.
Yep, you are up. Let it rip.
He's got some stuff to like. Like you mentioned, the release, the speed off the ball is real good. Good quick feet. He's got some moves against press and really swats DB's hands away. Good physicality. So his release and ability to get off the ball as an outside receiver is really good. I thought he was a pretty solid route runner, very crafty, and can just get open. He definitely could have more of a defined route tree, but I thought on the routes he ran, he had good separation. Hands are, not a lot of volume because he doesn't play a lot, but 4 drops on 40 targets, and I just thought his hands looked a little suspect at times, so just not a supernatural hands catcher. And he's above average catching the ball in the middle of the field, so his contested catches were not a lot, but he had 8 out of 16 opportunities in his 2 best years, so 50%. So okay, catch radius for a big guy is pretty average, and he can go up and get it. So I feel like he has some sort of upside there, but sometimes he just kind of doesn't. I don't know if he doesn't time the ball well or he doesn't track the ball as well as he should, and he sort of short arms it or just doesn't time it right. You're going to see some acrobatic catches, but there's a lot of times where he misplays the ball some. He's got above average physicality, but I think he's just a possession receiver because that can sort of operate better in the intermediate because after the catch, he's not going to offer you a lot. He definitely does not have home run speed. He's below average in that regard, and I'd absolutely believe he's probably that 4.6 solid. So, and the quickness and acceleration, like he's a little above average. He can offer you a little bit of sort of that start and stop, but just not a wiggle guy either. So, and that's what happens when you have these bad foot injuries and things like that. It's really hurts your route running and separation and your quickness, acceleration. It's not good to be an older guy going into the NFL with all these injuries. And I think that he was a guy that was probably pretty highly regarded in the years leading up to him coming out. But I don't know where he's at on draft boards and stuff right now. But he got a 63 for me, and he's like second tier from the bottom. I think he's got stuff to work with. It's just on film, he's not complete at all. He's got a lot of red flags, and then when you put the injury history and stuff like that in, I think he's going to be probably a 6th, 7th round pick in the NFL draft. I think he could even be off board. So I didn't like him all that well.
Yeah, with his past 3 years playing only 14 games, he's off probably a lot of teams' boards to begin with, and you don't want a 23-year-old wide receiver with foot injuries that can't stay healthy. As you said, he has good quickness, good short area quickness. Then doesn't have the long speed. Then I thought he probably had some issues with the release and some of that press coverage. He can beat the press coverage, but you do see that issues at times. Then
definitely with the long speed. Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely not fast. Then he's the drop rate this past year was almost 13%. Then his career drop rate was a little bit better at 8.3%, but something that you worry about getting worse as the years go on. Then I think he's with his size, he's a good run blocker. Then, but so decent physicality. I think with everything else, I almost have an incomplete score because there's not enough game film to sort of come up with a true projection or true vision for him, especially with these limited games.
Yeah, and I think it's limited games, but he's also sort of battling through injury, recovering from injury, so his tape just doesn't look that good. So, I mean, maybe if he was healthy and he could put together a solid season, that would be good, but foot injuries and this stuff's no bueno.
And the 2 of the games that we had for all 22 were games where he had 2 catches.
Yep. I mean, he literally had 2 good games that we'll probably release that have cut up and stuff. But he's just not super impressed.
Yeah, he just I would say incomplete then, an incomplete, injured, oft injured older receiver. So he's not a guy I'm actively looking at. Maybe I'll take another dive on him again if he gets drafted with any decent draft capital, but he's not someone I'm actively pursuing out there. Like I said, it's foot injuries and wide receivers usually don't go well together. So that's not. You could be one of the top prospects of all time, and Sammy Watkins.
Michael Thomas.
Well, yeah, Sammy Watkins, Michael Thomas have these foot injuries, and then it just sort of derails their career. Michael Thomas was older, but Sammy Watkins had a foot injury very early on after a 1,000-yard season as rookie, and then it never was the same then.
Yep.
Had a lot of sort of boom games, and then got your hopes up, but never put it together for a full season, and continued to be injured. And we're going to see that with Michael Wilson here. I'm not saying he's Sammy Watkins at his prime, but you don't want to see those foot injuries. That's the sort of the moral of the story here.
Yep.
So, yeah. Not a great one to end on, but is what it is then. But we have finished.
Yep.
We have finished the 2023 draft class. Oh, that feels good. Feels good.
Yep.
So as always, check out the YouTube channel. I think Scotty should have all the wide receivers up in a little bit, and you can check those guys out then as well, all the film that we saw then. And we'll see where all these guys get drafted. So cannot wait. Wait.
And then can't wait to do our post-draft rookie mock draft. That's going to be so much fun. I love doing the mock drafts. So
we should do that Sunday, right? You able to do it Sunday?
I'm not sure. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
I'd like to try to do it pretty quickly then.
Yep.
Because there's some leagues that start right on Monday morning as far as the your rookie drafts then.
Yep.
I want to do that for your league that you
No, we're not doing that now. We got to at least give it a week or so.
Oh, no, go right away.
We're not doing it on Monday. That's I like doing weekend drafts. Make it relaxing. I like the trade aspect,
Okay, I'll allow that then.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to start the week after then.
Yep.
You got to promise me that. I need a draft.
Yep.
I'm itching. I'm jonesing for it. But, yep, that's all we got for you. So this is Joseph Adrian signing off.
This is Scott Martin, and you just listened to the Dynasty Interview Fantasy Football Podcast.